Okay, so we now need to cut out our templates. So these are our 4 templates that we need to cut out, and you'll see that number 3 fits over number 2 and number 2 fits over number 1, and they just nicely sit inside each other. So we need to cut those out, and we need to cut our little chick out as well. Now what I'm going to do, because I don't like to use my best scissors for cutting out this, is I'm going to cut out the paper first, tracing paper with a pair of paper scissors, and then I'll cut then around that to cut the felt out. So we'll just cut this out first, and we'll cut each one of the shapes out. So I'm just going to cut this one out, and then you can see me cutting the felt out, and then I'll cut the rest out afterwards. Okay, so this is shape number 3, and you need to make sure that you get them the right way round. Okay, that's really quite key. So we've got our shape there, and in actual fact the 3 is the wrong way round on this one. So I'm just going to ignore the fact that that's that way round, and I'm going to pop it on the felt just there. Now, because we've got a really nice straight edge and we've got a really nice straight edge on there, I'm just going to line that up, and then I'm going to turn that around, and I'm going to start to cut the felt down this way. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it straight, just ignore that little notch there, and I'll add that notch in later. So I'll just bring that around, let's bring that felt around there, ignore that notch too, and cut it all the way up there, and then we can trim those little notches out quite easily. Okay, don't worry if they're not perfect, they are basically just where our little legs come in. Okay, so that's our little area there, and then we need to do exactly the same for the other 2 pieces. so we've got our big piece, number 3, number 2, number 1, and we've got our main body of the chick. Okay, so now we just need to stitch those onto our fabric. Okay, so we're back onto our piece of work, and we've got our 3 pieces of felt, and we need to start off with our smallest piece. So we're going to just see where those legs are there, just going to put it just above those legs like that. Okay, so we're just going to stitch that on, and then we're going to stitch on all the other pieces in exactly the same way. So we're coming up on the outside and we're going into the felt, not too far in because otherwise it looks a bit like a pasty, and not too far out so that it actually just shreds the edge, because the problem with the felt is if you go too far to the edge, it can just fall off because it'll just deteriorate because it's quite fibrous. Okay, so let's just go along little stitches, make sure you secure it really well, and then you'll put the next piece over the top. These are a little bit on the small side. Just start to make them slightly bigger. So we've got our top bit of the egg there that's going to be underneath, and then our next piece will be slightly bigger and slightly towards the top of that egg, and then our final piece will be right near the top of the egg, or the edge of our chick's body. Okay, so then we're going to come down here and just around the bottom side of our felt, and then we've got our little notch. Now you can see now quite clearly why those notches are there, because that's exactly where our legs go. So obviously we don't want lots of edging there, because we're going to be cutting that shape out of our egg. So we're just going to come around, and I can stop holding that now, and just come all the way around the bottom of that felt. Now if you wanted to and you didn't want to hold it, because some people have a little bit of difficulty holding the felt, you could put 2 big stay stitches over the felt. So you could go 1, 2 if you wanted to, or you could put 4 stitches or more around and then just infill in between those stitches, and that makes it much easier. You might have arthritis, or you just might not be able to hold that, so you know there's always ways around it. Okay, so we just need to put another couple of stitches in, and then we've got our first piece of felt attached to our little chick. Okay, there we go, our last stitch. So all we need to do now is we're going to put that one on top there, and then we'll put this one on top last.